Now, Sergio Perez's future with Red Bull seems to be very uncertain after the last race in Imola, given the fact that the grid is now closer than ever and the dominance of the Austrian team is going to be questioned a lot of times by their rivals McLaren and Ferrari. What these two teams have that Red Bull doesn't is a competitive drivers pair-up that is ready to fight for race wins when given the right machinery. And judging by the last two races, Verstappen is going to have to fend off alone, which might be one of the primary reasons why Horner was seen with one of the free agent father for 2025 in the paddock in Italy. So, could this be the last season of Perez? And more importantly, who would be the right replacement for the Mexican driver? Now, it goes without saying that one of the most wanted and despised seats at the same time is the one next to Verstappen. And Perez's performance currently opens a gap for the Austrian squad to believe that there is a good replacement that can come in handy from 2025 onwards, starting with Carlos Sainz. After the latest performance in Imola, one in which the Mexican driver was kicked out of Q2 after being slower by both Racing Bull's drivers, there is no doubt that this question will be opened up yet again. And Horner wasted no time in trying to see where the mind of Carlos Sainz stands when it comes to moving to Red Bull. The situation is a bit stalled at this moment, and Sainz himself admitted that things are going slowly. The same was said by Horner a couple of weeks ago when he admitted that the seat is Perez's to lose, and so far he's doing everything that he's being asked to. But after the last performance in Italy, that narrative has changed slightly, and even though Red Bull are reluctant to promote a driver from within, they're open for an outside hire, which in this case would be Sainz. When talking about the second seat in Red Bull after Imola, Horner didn't mince words, adding, "It was a shame for Checo to be out following the qualifying session. We ran a reverse strategy with him and he would go P8 and in the end P7 was the best we could see on our analysis before the race. We need him obviously up there supporting Max in the same way the two Ferraris and two McLarens are together. I think that the whole driver market is sort of playing itself out, and we know exactly where we're at and where our options are, and in the timing that's right for us, we'll make decisions about the future." Well, this is more or less a direct threat to his seat because Horner made sure to remind Perez what his role in the team is, being the strongest second driver that he could be and therefore giving the team a strong lead in the Constructors' Championship. Even though Perez secured the first 1-2 finish of Red Bull in their history, something they weren't able to do under their Vettel-Webber days of dominance, that's all in the past, and the team is focusing on the future. That future, however, might not be the brightest for Perez due to the fact that he's not second in the Drivers' Championship right now, and with how things stand, he's very likely to lose the third seat to Lando Norris, who's been dangerously competitive in the past 3 races. Seeing him score P2 in China and Imola, as well as a win in Miami in between, while having his teammate in close range of competitiveness, but with a little bit of bad luck, goes to show that everything is open for Perez, as is the exit from the Austrian squad. What's been rumoured around in the F1 world are the demands that Perez had towards Red Bull, which are 3 years of secured driving, and that's definitely not something towards which the Austrian team would be willing to commit. Given the fact that they're now more likely to be caught out from the rest of the grid, such as McLaren and Ferrari, the situation cannot be plainer for Perez. You either finish second in the Drivers' Championship, or the door will be shown in your face. That's probably one of the reasons why Christian Horner had a meeting with Sainz's father, Carlos Sainz Sr., after the Imola GP. And the fact that the senior figure in the Sainz family signed a contract with Ford in their Rally Dakar program goes to even further stir the pot, as Ford and Red Bull will join forces from 2026 onwards. Obviously, this would be a reunion, which Red Bull could be looking forward to, given how the other teams are preparing for the 2026 season, including Aston Martin's partnership with Honda, and in this situation, they would definitely need 2 drivers in order to secure both championships for the team, especially the Constructors' one, with which every second driver in Red Bull will be closely met. Apart from Horner, it seems like Carlos Sainz Sr. shared some words with Helmut Marko ahead of the pre-race national anthem, and considering the fact that Sainz's options are now narrowing down to a couple of teams, it's safe to assume that Red Bull would be high on the priority list of the Spaniard, something that he tried to hide a little bit in his latest statement talking about his future. When being asked at the Imola press conference where his plans lie, Sainz went on to say, "When I have a decision on my future, you will know. I think it's not moving too quickly, so it might take some time." But even for Sainz, the situation is not really looking too great, because the options, while being quite rich, are not looking extremely satisfying for his liking. Audi has reportedly given the 3-time race winner an ultimatum when it comes to deciding whether he wants to join their project or not, and that ultimatum is to end in the next 10 days. On the other hand, Mercedes and Sainz don't seem to agree on the years apart of the contract, as Mercedes wants to keep the 2020 seat open for either Antonelli or a shocking switch for Verstappen, while Sainz doesn't intend to sign a contract that says anything less than 2 years on it. This is why he might be forced to sign for Audi, or more precisely Sauber, in 2025, which would see him race in the back of the field for at least 3 or 4 years before the German manufacturer starts to compete for race wins and championships. Yes, maybe they'll be competitive in the midfield, but if you jump from second fastest team on the grid to a potential midfield group or even back marker, that's definitely a D grade to which you don't want to waste your prime years. And if you are to ask Sergio Perez, the Mexican driver is now more than certain that the future between him and Red Bull won't change, despite the tension and the rumours swirling around the paddock and feeding the hungry ears of the media. When talking about this matter, the Mexican driver went on to say, "Nothing's been signed yet, so everything is still open. But I believe very soon we're getting into an intense part of the season, and I want to get it out of the way because I think it's important that I focus on the racing side. So yeah, I hope sooner rather than later everything can be finalised and we can share it with you. I think until nothing is signed, everything is an option for now." There is, however, the wonderful performance of Yuki Tsunoda in the racing bulls that just cannot be thrown a blind eye to. And even though the Austrian squad was adamant that they would much rather prefer an outside hire at this point of the season, the situation changed a bit after the last couple of races. The young Japanese driver has clearly stated that there is no contract signed with Red Bull for 2025, even though it would be his wish to collaborate next to Verstappen in the upcoming season. But what Red Bull must understand is the fact that Tsunoda could be easily lost to Aston Martin if Honda makes a great push and potentially wait Alonso for retirement, or maybe even a shocking replacement of Lance Stroll as well. All of this will point towards a very interesting development of events that don't seem to be looking extremely great for Perez. His team has started to struggle and is showing signs of vulnerability, and until that's fixed, his performance will always be scrutinised due to the fact that he's so far off the pace compared to his teammate. So with this in mind, do you think that there is a possibility that we'll be looking at the last season of Perez in Red Bull? And more importantly, which driver do you think is the best replacement if it comes down to it? Let us know in the comments down below.